only benchmarks for leadership. As you are aware, at the national level, a real-time service delivery war room is being operationalized to monitor municipal performance, focusing specifically on water infrastructure restoration, road maintenance, and the total elimination of load reduction. The PTT welcomes the recent joint oversight visit to the province by the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, together with the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, for the outstanding work they have done to hold the province municipalities to account. We will be looking urgently at the issues raised during these visits, and where there have been matters affecting our municipalities, we will be calling on those municipalities to come and account directly to us as the ANC, but also to the people who live in those municipalities. The resolution of the Impendle municipal matter. The ANC recognizes that the situation in Impendle has dragged on for far too long, and we appreciate that the community of Impendle and other stakeholders have exhibited patience while we dealt with this matter. It must be stated that the Impendle situation is untenable and must be dealt with forthwith. In this regard, the ANC summoned its caucus from Impendle yesterday morning in a session with the provincial officials of the ANC. That meeting has brought finality in resolving the issue of the election of the mayor and the speaker of the municipality of Impendle. The municipal manager will by tomorrow issue a notice of a special council sitting that will be scheduled for Friday, this coming Friday, to elect the speaker and the mayor of the council. The ANC is also working on intervention measures that will involve other spheres of government seeking to stabilize the financial situation in Impendle. The Amachu District Municipality heist. On May the 20th, 2025, a municipal heist took place in Amachu District Municipality, involving the unlawful election of both the mayor and the deputy mayor. This occurred during a meeting where ANC councillors and others were prohibited from attending, as the venue was changed without timely notice. This matter was challenged in court, and handing down its judgment on the 29th of January 2026, the High Court confirmed the rule NISI issued earlier, declaring the meeting of the 20th May 2025 and the election of the mayor and deputy mayor unlawful and invalid. This reinstated the status quo prior to the illegal meeting, leaving the mayoral position vacant and returning the deputy mayor, who had been masquerading as a mayor since the heights of 28 May 2025, to their previous roles as deputy mayor. The court further ordered the first and second respondents, the Amachu District Municipality and its council, to pay the cost of the application, including reserved cost, with provision for the cost of two council where applicable. The Amachu High serves as a clear example of the unscrupulous tactics that some competitors will use to gain power at the local government level. Unfortunately, the instability caused by this blatant ambition affects our municipalities, leading to poor service delivery and the diversion of funds meant to uplift our communities. Instead of being used for their intended purposes, these funds are redirected to defend unreasonable decisions and engage in unnecessary court battles. To spare the residents of Amachuba from bearing the burden of a fault that is not their own, we will explore ways to ensure that those who participated in the illegal meeting are held accountable for their actions and are responsible for covering the cost as directed by the courts. Stability in the government of provincial unity. The ANC is dedicated to the government of provincial unity as the most effective means to ensure socio-political and economic stability that promote an accelerated and inclusive development, deliver services to our people, and uphold the constitutional principles of the Republic. The recent developments in the GPU, including the stated withdrawal by the NFP, have pointed to the urgent need to reinforce the coalition arrangement through universal protocols that are independent of personal preferences or a change in mood. In the very near future, the GPU partners will be formally adopting the GPU framework, which already has been presented before them, which will govern the coalition arrangement. The ANC believes that the GPU remains strong and resilient, and that following our engagements with the NFP, including those which predate the stated withdrawal, we remain convinced that all GPU partners view the arrangement as the best means to serve our people post the 2024 election outcomes. Our objective is to ensure that the provincial government's program of action is dictated by superior logic and a commitment to a national democratic society rather than political grandstanding and cheap political point scoring. Defending the national sovereignty. On the global stage, we reaffirm our commitment to a multipolar world order. We recognize the European Union as a stabilizing partner and a primary destination for our value-added exports, even as we navigate shifting trade dynamics with other global powers. The ANC will not be coaxed by external tariff diplomacy or unilateral aggression. To defend our rights to an independent foreign policy, we will lead a People's March on March 21 and be part of those South Africans who have decided that we must therefore defend our constitution and our sovereignty. We will do this in defense of South Africa's sovereignty and also to defend other nations that are being threatened by imperialist forces. KwaZulu-Natal as a province will organize a march here in Durban, and will seek to connect to the main march that will be taking place in Johannesburg. On immigration, South Africa is a nation of laws. We acknowledge that the current legislative framework for citizenship, immigration, and refuge protection is fragmented and outdated. To remedy this, we have championed a complete overhaul that prioritizes the national interests, placing the proposed overhauled legislation at the center of the national security and economic recovery agenda. We want to state unequivocally that the laws of our country apply equally to all those within the Republic of South Africa, including us in KwaZulu-Natal. As the country implements the processes of legislative framework overhaul for citizenship, immigration, and refuge protection, the obtaining legislation, despite its weaknesses, remains in place. So we have taken an approach as a PTT that because we now have got a process of the white paper, it is important that we should encourage all people of this province to participate. We will now be encouraging our leaders to go throughout the province to be able to ensure that we encourage our people to make input into the white paper process. We urge all of us to participate in this process of the white paper on the citizenship, immigration, and refuge protection. In particular, we feel that our focus should, among other things, be on these aspects of the white paper: the adoption of the first safe country principle that is mandating that asylum seekers must seek protection in the first stable country they reach, and this was aimed at curbing the abuse of asylum system while ensuring that South Africa's humanitarian commitments remained sustainable. The introduction of a merit-based, points-driven immigration system that is transforming immigration from a purely administrative function into a strategic economic enabler, and that this would facilitate the entry of critical skills and high-impact investment. The tightening of naturalization requirements to prevent fraudulent claims of citizenship, and that the establishment of a citizenship advisory panel and exploration of a specialized immigration courts, signaling a departure from a systemic delays towards a technological advance and secure regime. The ANC understands the frustration of our people emanating from the effects of legislation that has not kept pace with the objective realities that our people face daily. It also recognizes that there are criminal elements, some from within the state apparatus, who might perpetrate and benefit from crimes linked to immigration and citizenship. These acts of criminality must be confronted without fear or favor by our law enforcement agencies. Additionally, we must resist the temptation of painting all foreign nationals, including those who are in South Africa legally, with the same brush and treating them as criminals. Indeed, those who are here illegally, must face the full might of the law. Let me repeat myself, that those who are here illegally must face the full might of the law. However, since South Africa is a constitutional state, we must all respect that the police remain the sole custodians of law enforcement. And there is no place for vigilantism in our province. There is no place for ethnicism in our province. There is no place for xenophobia in our province. Critically, we urge political parties to provide leadership and not to succumb to the basest desires of earning the support of our people by foul means or misleading them. The road ahead to the provincial Lekgotla. In the coming days, the ANC KwaZulu-Natal will convene a provincial Lekgotla to tailor the national resolutions of the recently held National Lekgotla to our unique provincial challenges. This gathering will ensure that our strategic plans for the year ahead are concrete, disciplined, and focused on the fundamental pillars of our mandate, that is social equity, nation building, and economic growth. As one of the outcomes of the Lekgotla, an ANC proposal on the minimum governance program will then be formulated and presented to the GPU, because we believe it is important that as the ANC we must make a meaningful contribution in ensuring that the government of provincial unity focuses on the people's issues. The President J.L. Dubé commemoration. On the 11th of February 2026, the ANC will join the Dr. J.L. Dubé Institute for Humanitarian and Development Praxis in celebrating the life and times of our founding president, President John Langalibalele Dubé. The commemoration of Dr. John Langalibalele Dubé will be on the 11th of February and carries exceptional historical, political, and national significance. This date marks both his birth and passing, underscoring his enduring legacy as South Africa's first president of the African National Congress. The date further occupies a profound place in South Africa's collective memory, as it coincides with the release of former President Nelson Mandela, an event that symbolized the triumph of perseverance, principled leadership, and dialogue over oppression. The convergence of these milestones provides a uniquely powerful moment to reflect on the historical continuity of the ANC leadership tradition and its enduring responsibility to the people of South Africa. The convergence of these two significant milestones offers us a unique opportunity to reflect upon the enduring legacy of the ANC leadership tradition. It is a moment to recognize the responsibilities that still lie ahead for the ANC and its unwavering commitment to the people of South Africa and KwaZulu-Natal. We anticipate that our Secretary General, Comrade Fikile Mbalula, will also attend and officiate at this event of the wreath laying ceremony, and also participate in the memorial lectures for Nelson Mandela. On organizational renewal, our program to rebuild the organization continues apace. Following the appointment of the regional task teams last year, we then embarked on the task of rebuilding our branches. Where applicable, this task entailed the establishment of the interim branch structures known as the PTTs. In rebuilding and renewing our organization, we felt that this important work could not be left to open interpretation, as this PTT will then introduce what we call the KZN Renewal Charter as the basis for the renewal of our movement. At the 5th National General Council of the ANC last year, the NGC adopted the concept of renewal charter as a national pillar for renewal. While we have a roadmap that guides the processes and the timelines for rebuilding our movement, including the hosting of regional and provincial conferences, the work that is foremost in the minds of the PTT members right now is rebuilding the ANC, particularly rebuilding the branches of the ANC, but also a work of recalibrating our relationship with our alliance partners and the broader mass democratic movement and other stakeholders. As part of this work, we are therefore doing whatever it takes to ensure that all our leaders are deployed to all the regions of the ANC, to all branches, to all the sub-regions and zones where they are doing the party work on the ground. Thank you very much.
Siyabonga Babandiem. Can we take the first set of hands? We will encourage that we do not necessarily have too much of a preamble, but we are direct with our questions so that we can have time to ask as many questions as possible. The intention is that we leave no stone unturned in terms of us responding to your questions. So preambles may limit us in terms of time. So let's try and focus on that. May I then invite hands? Any takers? Okay. You are number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Number 1, please. Yes.
I know you touched on the Impendle and the Amachu municipalities. However, I thought maybe you would touch a bit on Anc Kzn and Municipal as well. Last week there was a portfolio, the Cox's portfolio committee. They were also flagged for lack of governance and lack of accountability. In those cases, of course, they're headed by the ANC. What steps is the party going to take against those the heads in those municipalities?
Okay, that was just that question. All right, number 2.
Ngiyazi ukuthi impact zokwenza so ANC le issue ngaphansi ngephansi yakhona because be-identify as a factor so lokho kungenza siliba kunokuzwa manje ukuthi imeya ezophuma kwesihlalo ezophuma within the caucus noma ezophuma from outside. That's number 1. Emajuba izulu ezike singibuza going forward. So what is the ANC view? So the understanding of that municipality, because after the judgment, that municipality issued a statement saying, so the interpretation of that judgment, so Bobo that judge return, so the status quo prior in that 24, in that May, this must remain, meaning Bobo that the mayor umeya manje lo obesoso will copyright an act as a mayor. You can check out what is the ANC understanding on that. So mhlawumbe kwesithathu mhlawumbe kona ngeke ngisake ngibuye la kuma conferences ucheck nje unama regions nje awu11 ihlebe singathola ukuthi okay manga mhlawumbe ase ready for conferences azoyanini mhlawumbe if you know some 2 or 3 as a ready for your conference because you never map. So it road map isho ukuthi by 20 March wonke kumele isehleli the province ihlale ngophela March ngiyabonga.
Usiphamandla konke from EMCA. When is the provincial conference? Do you regret taking so long to fix the mess in Impendle? Do you know when is your Secretary General, Mr. Fikile Mbalula, coming to KZN to remove the TERS? Your critics are saying you are sympathetic to foreign nationals at the expense of South Africans. How do you respond to that?
Yes, the last hand at the back.
So you Somaliti from News 24. Mr. Babuya, could you say there is stability in the GPU, but the IFP has been refusing to meet the NFP, even though the IFP has been meeting with the EFF, and the NFP is said to have told both the ANC leaders and those of the DA that they cannot attend that multi-party meeting before the NFP and the IFP meets. So if you can just explain to us what's going on there.
Thank you, colleagues. I'm not sure you want me to summarize the question.
I think I have the questions, except that I think Mr. Gogo's questions, he was running a marathon, a fast pace, not a marathon, a fast paced race, so I probably only didn't capture all
When
of
is the provincial conference on the Impendle issue? You might have taken long. What has been the issue? When is the SG coming to deal with the issues of the TERS? The foreign nationals, we seems to be sympathetic to them far beyond people of this land.
Well, let me start from the first question. Thank you very much, Ms. Makwaza. We are saying in the statement that we welcome and appreciate the work that has been done by the two respective portfolio committees, the Portfolio Committee of Culture and Traditional Affairs, together with the standing SCOPA. We have been following the proceedings that have been taking place with very keen interest. We must say that we have indicated already that where there were issues raised to the Portfolio Committee that affect all of the municipalities where we are governing, we are expecting that those in those municipalities, first and foremost, must account what are they doing with those issues and where those issues are, but they account to the ANC, but they must equally account to the residents, to the communities of those respective municipalities. I think we need to put the issue of eThekwini into context. I think eThekwini might have one or two issues there, but eThekwini has got a very clean audit. eThekwini has been, the business confidence has almost like grown more than 11%. And even as we speak, we are seeing much more bigger change. But where they need to account, they will account, like all other municipalities. So we are actually simply saying, we are aware that we are going to be calling not only Umsunduzi and eThekwini, but all of the municipalities that have appeared before these two respective portfolio committees to actually account to us as the ANC, what are they doing with those matters where they may have been found wanting on those matters. So that is a matter that we are already busy working as we speak. In the issue of Impendle, particularly Mr. Pumula, let us say this. We are saying this, that we appreciate the communities have been very patient, that this matter has been going for the longest of time, and we realize it did not need to go as far as it did. That we appreciate, and that's why we are simply saying to our own communities, it should not have gone the way it did. Unfortunately, when you deal with matters at times, there will always be internal issues that must always be handled as well. But that matter has now reached the end insofar as we're concerned. And I've indicated in the statement that the officials summoned the caucus yesterday morning, and we met with the caucus, and we have taken firm action. And the speaker of Impendle resigned yesterday morning, and by the time he left the meeting of caucus, that letter of resignation was with the officials. And as we speak, that is being processed, and we are expecting that the municipal manager will issue a notice of a special meeting by tomorrow, the latest by tomorrow, and that we are expecting that council, special council meeting will meet by the latest by Friday, this coming Friday. And it will meet to elect the speaker and the mayor. And the ANC had its own process. We finalized the issue of the mayor, and the ANC will then be able to actually have a councillor that it is going to be putting here coming from outside, who will be the mayor in Impendle. Insofar as the issue of Amachu, you are correct in understanding what the law is, and your understanding is exactly what I read in the statement. The court has made a ruling and has confirmed the rule NISI it had issued earlier, that the meeting that purported to have elected the mayor and the deputy mayor on the 20th of May 2025, that meeting was illegal and invalid. And therefore, the court ruled that the status quo prior to the 20th of May 2025 should apply, meaning that the one that was now masquerading as a mayor, who was a deputy mayor, goes back to be a deputy mayor. And he can, of course, be acting in that office as the mayor, and the office of the mayor remains vacant until there has been an election. And that is the correct legal status quo. So the ANC is now dealing with that matter together with the other political parties in ensuring that that situation is regularized as soon as possible. Insofar as the regions that are ready for conferences, you are correct in saying that we are incorrect in saying the deadline is the 20th of March. No, the deadline for regional conferences is the end of March. We therefore have issued our own roadmap, which has been presented to the PTT meeting yesterday, and it has been discussed by the PTT and has been agreed. But our first phase in that roadmap is to focus on what we said our main focus is on the branches of the ANC. Now, we are actually dealing with issues of membership and correcting of those issues. Those issues are almost at the tail end of finalization. And the first line, therefore, of renewing the organization is convening BGMs and PPGMs. And that is where the ANC is. And therefore, we have a very clear roadmap that we are going to be circulating to all of the regions and all of the branches of the ANC that will now be focusing and starting. And we are hoping that within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will already have had some of the branch general meetings having been convened or starting to be convened. Let me then come to I'll come back to Gok's things. Let me come back to News 24. Well, I think we are saying in our statement that the ANC wrote to the National Freedom Party and had an engagement with the NFP. And we have reported yesterday to our PTT meeting on the very constructive discussions and engagement we've had with the NFP. But we still have to go back and have another engagement because our discussions meant that there were matters we needed to be able to take back to our principals. And having reported, we now have to go back. We will not have the temptation to try and ventilate matters that are being discussed with each other through the public media, because we have respect for those whom we are engaging with them. It will not be the ANC space to comment on a relationship between the NFP and other political parties. What we can say as the ANC is that there is an open dialogue, at least between the National Freedom Party and the ANC. We have a historical relationship and we respect one another, and the ANC would like to hold on the well-established relations between itself and the NFP, and therefore we are going to be engaging again and giving the NFP a feedback in a meeting that we hope we will then find and synchronize our diaries and try and find one another and sit down. But I must say that we think there is a willingness to engage. We respect the decision of the NAP to decide to withdraw from the government of provincial unity. But in our own engagement with them, we have brought to their attention clearly what our view is and how we view that process and what we think we all should be doing. So we would like to leave it there, that the ANC and the NFP remain open to engagement, and therefore we think the NFP will be bestly served, its interest will be bestly served by remaining in the GPU. Well, let's go to GOG. I think I have already indicated that the roadmap that we have produced takes into cognizance the decision of the National Executive Committee, and some of these matters about conferences are matters that we will be engaging between ourselves as a province and, of course, the SG's office, as and when the SG find time to come. As to when is the SG coming, I think the SG will come as and when his diary permits. I think that is a proper answer. What was the other thing?
We took long in Impendle. I think that is.
No, I think in Impendle we've answered Impendle.
The foreign nationals, we seems to be too sympathetic.
I guess we must actually put this matter in context, and I think we have already presented where we think it is. The ANC accepts that the current legislation that deals with immigration is an outdated legislation, and therefore there are gaps. Hence, there are now new proposals. And instead of us focusing in the past, we think we will all well be served by focusing into the future. There is now an opportunity for all South Africans to contribute in reshaping a new immigration legislation. And therefore, we contribute through the white paper. And that is the reason why some of these issues that we've been touching upon, for instance, for the first time, we must actually be seized with the discussion that we have not been involved in it in the past. That discussion is a discussion, for instance, of the first safe country principle, that we would be encouraging us to participate, that instead of everyone thinking that South Africa will be the country when we have gone past other countries, where by right you should be seeking asylum, hoping that we will encourage that if there are safer countries where people will be seeking asylum, they will also look at this opportunity, because it's an opportunity that would simply say, we therefore want to protect South Africa, because it is going to be impossible for South Africa to be able to take everyone who comes on our shores, even as we are also obligated in terms of our international obligations, because we are not simply saying South Africa must repudiate its international obligation. So in our case as KZN, we are encouraging, because this is a national competence, we are encouraging people of this province to also form part of the reshaping of a new legislative era that will be dealing with immigration. So instead of whipping emotions, the ANC's proposal is that we are going to encourage our leaders to go and engage with all stakeholders, and therefore be able to explain that there is now an opportunity for people to make their own contribution, and they'll be heard. And that is what we are actually focusing in. The accusations, other accusations, we don't think we would like to focus on them. It's a side issue as far as we're concerned. We are focusing on building this country, in ensuring that we offer proper leadership to our people and our nation.
Thank you, Ndiema. Colleagues, may we invite the second set of hands. It can be in a form of follow-ups. It can be new questions. We are ready to take those. You are going to be number one, Mr. Pungula, Mr. Koke. Are there any? It's seems as if it's going to be our last set of hands. Oh, okay. We should be number 3. We have a question, club. Oh, okay. All right. Can we then allow that process? We maintain the same posture of minimizing on preamble, but straight to the point.
Ukokube kuze i-confess i-province name so lo umbuzo azangophendula awuphendulanga but ngamuzwa undiyema umethi it's a sad issue so then for me it's a sensitive matter then I'm a legal foreigners because what they are doing in the country they bring a lot of issues, drugs and all those things, and they are taking spaces of locals, be it work, schools, everywhere. Now, for me, it's a genuine concern for locals, where they don't have schools, because the same constitution they claim is theirs, locals. Now, it doesn't work for them, because if I have a constitution that caters for everybody that comes in the country legally, then that constitution now is going to prioritize other countries. So because, so what kind of constitution is that? If you have your own constitution, you think it's yours, but now it serves other people that can come legally, and there are a lot of people here in this country. I know when I was in Mozambique, 8 months, then Ngane becomes a South African, that Ngane qualifies for Ikoro. That matter can't be that issue. So it can't be that.
Okay, thanks.
Oh. My apology.
Usiphamandla Goke from EMCA again. The IFP and the EFF are said to be talking about the possibility of the EFF joining the government of provincial unit. What is the position of the ANC in that regard? Velem Pungula reports that you, Mr. Mike Mabuyakhulu, have been lobbied and endorsed by Ethekwini branches to become the provincial chairperson of the ANC. Are you going to accept the nomination? King Mesuzulu KwaZulu wants the province's name to be changed to just KwaZulu. What is the position of the ANC in KwaZulu Natal? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Sandile Mota. I'm a freelancer. Mine would be a clarity really on the Impendle situation again, probably to you. Just want a clarity whether if you're saying the candidate has been agreed upon, is it an outside candidate or is it she or he will be elected within the cohort of councillors currently? Just as clarity.
No, thanks. I think those were the 3 set of hands. Before Ndiyema, we select wena mhlawumbe ake sizame ukuphendula uvele Mpungula on the issue of the site issue, because akumele sit down play as if we do not recognize the sensitivity of the matter. The ANC's position is clear. It has kwazi ukuphuma siyotoyitoyela constitution emgaqweni. We have an opportunity to contribute to the current processes, the white paper. We therefore encourage wonke umuntu okhona, kungaba oyintatheli, ngaba omfundisi, ngaba concerned about citizens, ngaba oyi-comrade, ngaba induna yensizwa, abanombono ngendlela ukuthi how we should handle the issue at hand, should contribute so that umthetho-sisekelo, njengoba usho ukuthi umthetho-sisekelo weseka wonke umuntu, umthetho-sisekelo wethu must be able to respond and prioritize people of South Africa. That's what the ANC is saying. Kodwa we can't be seen toying about it. We can only contribute. We can only contribute in the manner that will stabilize South Africa and ensure that our systems are in order for people not to be disrupted in the process of whatever they are doing, whether going to school or not going to school, going to hospitals or not going to hospitals. we appreciate that. I thought bamdm maske si
Okay.
mhlambe sithi kuyihumusha nangesintu nje.
Ngicabanga ukuthi ngifuna ukwengeza kuloko kade ukusho Mahlasi ekuphenduleni ubaba uPhungula. Okokuqala ubaba uPhungula akakuzwanga ukuthi uside issue ubu refer to what uthi ugoge kithi iANC, the ANC kuthiwa is sympathetic to foreign nationals. And instead of answering what is not in, what we say is an issue, ileyo ukuthi kuyi-side issue ukuthi sizo debate ukuthi si sympathetic or not sympathetic. That is a side issue. See, we are referring to say issue of immigration is an important issue. That is why we have discussed it. That is why we are putting it in our statement. That we now have an opportunity that wonke umuntu manje usenethuba lokuthi onombono afuna ukuba nawo ngokuthi uma sithi umthetho walapha kufika abantu babengena ezweni bangena kanjani. Sesinalo lelo thuba manje ngoba sekune white paper phela yenze leyo nto. Ngibona ngathi usale nje kakhulu baphungula kungekona kokuqala kuyenzeka ufuna usale kwesinye isikhathi. Usale nje kakhulu ukuthi side issue ibe mayelana nani. So ngicabanga lokho asisho ukuthi issue lesikhuluma ngayo side issue ingako siyibeka ukuthi isizwe manje sizokhipha abaholi bethi bayochaza kunali ithuba sonke thina sinezikhalo sikwazi ukubeka imbono yethu ngokuthi ukuphathwa kungena ezweni eSouth Africa abangena ngaphusuka ngaphandle bazongena kanjani. Kodwa kwesibili siyasho futhi ku statement sethu ukuthi umuntu osezweni ngokungemthetho illegally ufanele abhekane ngalo mthetho. Ngoba siyizwe elibuswa ngokomthetho. iANC imile lapho ifuthi isicacile lapha asicashile akekho ngathi akazi ukuthi simeleni. Sesikushilo lokho kukhona ku statement sethu. Ngawo ke ngicabanga ukuthi sesicacisile. But I think it is important for us to be able to then deal with this issue of conferences. We have a roadmap. You don't start to a provincial conference. You start by having branch general meetings and near branch general meetings. And then from there, you will then have a region which will have a 70% of the branches that have qualified having a regional conference. We have dates for those. Those dates are in our program of action in March. Okay, but the precursor for that is to reach the threshold of the 70% branches in your region. That's why I've said the current emphasis is not for leaders to go and look for a regional conference first or a provincial conference. We are focused. We must look at going and reconstituting and renewing the branches of the ANC, because that is our immediate task. Once we have done that and 70% of those branches are now in good standing, they have actually been able to have branch general meetings. Now you then can have a regional conference. And from a regional conference, you can have a provincial conference. But of course, a provincial conference is not dependent on regional conferences. If 70% of the branches in the province, we have 901 branches, if more than 637 of those are actually in good standing, the provincial conference would happen. We have the date of the provincial conference somewhere at the end of March. But I think we are not trying to be far ahead of ourselves. We are very focused. Now, of course, I must say that in our view, we think the leadership of our regions is now focused, and we're all focused, and the PTTs, the NEC members deployed in this province are all focused. And then we have actually had a meeting directly with the NEC members deployed in looking how all of us are going to be able to work together in ensuring that the ANC renewal in KwaZulu-Natal move with pace. Now, then I go to the issue of Mr. Goge, the EFF and IFP discussion. Our approach as the ANC is an open-minded approach. It's an approach which emanates out of the decision of the NEC last year, where we agreed at a national level that the ANC would want to see a situation where the GNU can be open to those who still want to come into the GNU. The same principle will apply, that in KwaZulu-Natal, if there are still parties that think can consider and can be able to come to the GPU and want to be able to be part of the GPU, of course they have to meet certain conditions. And I'm not going to be able to discuss that, and I will leave that for now. But we have an open approach in terms of the GPU, based on the very same principles that we have already agreed to at a national level. So I'll take that issue to that far, and I hope, therefore, that any discussions are within the spirit and the letter of what we have already agreed to as a matter of principle nationally. Now, of course, look, I don't want to be able to give legitimacy to any of the monger and gossips that goes around, irrespective who the proponent of that monger and gossip is. The one thing I must say to you is that the issue of leadership has not been opened, and Mabuya Kulu has not been approached by anybody, and therefore the matter ends there. Our focus at the moment is that we are focusing on renewing and rebuilding the ANC structures. The issues of monger and gossip about what is possible or may not be possible, I think it will be too much. We will not entertain that. We will leave it there. But the factual situation, we have not opened up the issue of leadership within the province. Insofar as the issue of the change of name, we must say that in the Constitution of the Republic, this issue of, from time to time, you will have voices emerging. It's not the first time, Mr. Koke, that we have had that. And I don't even have to remind you where even the first time, the first source where it came from. And I guess this is the matter that is actually driven by constitutional imperatives and by law. You do not change the name of the province without following a due and a constitutional process. And therefore, the ANC is clear that anyone who seeks to put the debate on the table will have to be immersed themselves with the constitutional processes and the legal processes, because it is not a process that can be determined by anybody by deciding that I want to change the name. And the ANC will actually engage in that process at that time, if ever that process does come. But as for the ANC as we stand, we are very clear. We do not have a problem with the name that exists, because the name was also an outcome of a consensus. We know that some of these things are very emotive. It would be important for us not to be able to whip people's emotions, and we would rather want to focus on issues that unite the people of KwaZulu-Natal than dealing with issues that would be whipping the emotions of our people.
It seems as if we have concluded our session.
On the impending question.
Okay.
Sorry, you came late. It was answered in the statement. It was answered when Pungula asked. But for your own indulgence, you may.
Yes, no, we are very clear. The ANC has decided on the candidate, and that candidate is going to come from outside, who's going to be a mayor, and then we are going to have the speaker, the election of the mayor and the speaker, and that question has been finalized by the ANC.
Okay. Let me check the. Can we then invite the last set of hands? Even if you had spoken, you can still raise your hand. We still invite all of us. Don't give up, Gok. If there's another question you have, we are fine to take hands. You are number one now, right? Aye. Kusho ukuthi-ke sisebenzise ngokubambisana okukhulu namhlanje. Oza-ke mfowethu you are number 2 nje.
Perhaps on that GPU negotiation with the MFP and the M, you alluded to the fact that there were some demands in a way put on the table by the NFP, which you then say you will have to escalate the matter with the senior leaders of the ANC, your party. Perhaps if you could shed light on that, what sort of demands were put on the table by the National Freedom Party?
Judge?
Just a comment from the ANC with regards to the suspension of the HOD of transports amongst unsavory rumors of corruption and stuff like that. And then the second one is ngicela angigoqele bandla ngesizulu noma ngangaqali ekuqaleni aqale nje labo accountability kuyale nempendle.
So it's the issue of isiZulu and the
To comment the HOD of transports.
or HOD transport.
That's
Okay.
that's
Ayikho lapha ku-statement kodwa ngoba ukhona umuntu omdala-ke uzodlula kuyona kodwa sinayo lapha ku-statement. Kusho ukuthi lokho esikuxoxile kwi-PTT sesiyaphuma kona ndiyema-ke usuyosho-ke ukuthi uphume kanjani. Cha, le yesiZulu singayenza nje ngale ndlela esijwayele ukwenza ngayo. Asekho esinye isandla ngenza singabe sisabuya ngoba uyabona uma sekuqala ukuvuka engekho ku-statement sekuyaqala-ke lokho konke uyavala manje. Okay,
Akuyona into etheni.
siyabonga uSincomo. Usungangena konke.
Bengifuna ukubuza ukuthi is the chair still in good condition?
Yes. At least uphakathi kuyona manje. Colleagues, we are done. Baba Ndiem, ake sithathe le ngiyacabanga ukuthi ugogo nje use check ukuthi kukhona yini okusekhishini hayi ngoba ukhona kusho.
No, thank you very much. I think in response to Mr. Mota's question, we didn't say the NFP had demands. We said that we had engagements between ourselves and the NFP. And in those engagements, there were things that were, of course, presented to us by the NFP. And I guess there were also issues that we also presented to the NFP. And we then said, after having had a very good few hours of discussions between the two respective delegations, we then agreed to be able to take those matters back to report to our principals, meaning our structures, and then we will then come back and engage on the outcome. It is inconceivable that you would then start those matters that we are still discussing in confidence with a party, and therefore you go public on them. Because I think you engage with another party on the basis of your own bona fides. And I guess the ANC will not get into the temptation of therefore taking matters that it is discussing with the NFP because of the respect we have for the NFP, and therefore go to the public domain. The point I'm saying, therefore, that there are issues the NFP have raised with us, then is the outcome. We think it will be not correct to talk to the NFP through media. We respect our lines of communication, and we shall actually stick to that as the ANC. I must say that, Ms. Makwaza, you are raising a matter that is purely a governmental issue, in the sense that an issue of HODs, their appointment within the purview of the Premier of the province and the MEC responsible. I must say that the ANC has not as yet been able to have a chance to discuss the issues that is involving the HOD of transport. So I think that will be our short response. We have not been able to have that discussion. So we haven't as yet as well even asked for a report. I guess maybe, yeah, I take note from your question. Thank you very much. yeah, I think I'm done. You know, I think I will not take the invite from Mr. Goke because I did take his invite earlier on, and we have had our run. So I think let me leave it there.
Mina ngathi nje uhleli phakathi gogo sekungasho wena ukuthi iyahamba noma ayihamba. Colleagues, uma kukhona ohamba nge-I10 Hyundai siyacela ayiphuthume ukhohlwe ukuvala iwindi. Kusemnyango lapha sinayo security. Colleagues, we will not be doing justice if we do not thank you for availing yourselves to this briefing of the African National Congress. We thank you very much. We hope as and when we request your presence, you'll always do as you do. Siyabonga kakhulu.